Hi everyone. I was so pleased that you all enjoyed the last demo, so I thought I'd do another one. So I'm just going to flip the camera. So this is what I wanted to make with you this time. So folded flat into an envelope. This is A6 in size, but then opened out, and that gives you, just show you that angle there. It's really hard because I can't, there. Is that better? Yeah. So again, we're going to use a 15 by 30 card blank, and I'll just pop this to one side and we'll go over the measurements. It would have helped if I'd have got the card out to start with, but that would have been too organised. So there's your card blank, and you're going to need your trimmer first. So we're going to put the short edge at the top, and we're going to put the right edge at 2 centimetres just past that cut line. And we're going to cut from 2 down to 7. We're going to lift up the arm, slide the tool down, and we're going to cut from 23 to 28. If you lift that arm up, rotate the card round, pop it on 2 again, and this time we'll come up the way because our tool's in position. Look, we're going to cut from 28 up to 23. Lift up the arm, slide the tool up to 7, and cut from 7 to 2. That's our cutting done. So then you'll need your scoreboard. Now this is the centimetre side, and you want to put the long edge at the top. So we're going to come along and we're going to score at 2 centimetres, but we're just going to do it between the 2 cut lines. I don't know if you can see them cut lines on there. Maybe if I lift it up a bit, if I show you from there to there. So we're going to cut, score 2 centimetres between the 2 cut lines, and we're going to do the same at 4 centimetres and the same at 7 centimetres, and then we can rotate that round and do that again. So we're going 2, 4 and 7. So because it's 30 centimetres long, we need 3 equal pieces. So we're going to score at 10 and 20. So there's our 3, if I bring the card in, our 3 sections, 1, 2, 3. Now you'll notice these outside sections, they've got a little score line here, which is halfway on that first section. That is actually the 5 centimetre point. So you'll score from the top to that cut line at 5 centimetres. If you haven't got a long board like mine, you'd rotate it, but I'm just going to go across here to 25 centimetres, and I'm going to score down there to that cut line, and then I'll rotate the card around and I'll do the same. So 5 to the cut line and 25 to the cut line. Okay, so that is all the cutting and scoring done on our card. Now to fold it. Now, because I usually stick my fingers in here, but the cut line actually isn't that wide, so it is a little bit difficult to get your fingers in. We need this first fold line here to be a mounting, but you don't want to fold any of the edges around here. So just use your fingers underneath and just tease it down to give you that mounting fold there. And then the next one up, I'm going to just tease it toward me. Can you see how that's just coming over? Now if you turn it over and put your fingers behind, that naturally now is just going to come into place. So use your little folding tool and just go over all of your lines. And then this line here is going to fold in. So can you see we've got 1/2 done perfectly? So I'll turn that round again. and we'll go again. So going from behind, I'm just pressing that one back to give me a mounting fold, and then put your thumb to push on the other one, then turn it over. You can grab it then. It's best to do this bit flat because it stops you from folding the card where you don't want it folding. And then just fold them lines out. Turn him over and just score. That gives us our card base, and you'll see it meets perfectly in the middle. Okay, right, we're going to need to chop some bits of card up now. So for my pattern pieces, if I put that in there, you'll be able to see where we're heading towards. This piece here needs to be cut at 9.5 centimetres by 14.5, and that'll be your centrepiece, like so. You'll need 2 panels here, and these are 5 centimetres by 11 centimetres. Now, when I did cut them at 5, I actually chopped, in technical terms, 1 nobble off. So it's 1 nobble under 5, which is, in technical terms, like an 1/8, something like that. But just cut it just short of 5 centimetres, and it'll be perfect. And what that means is that when that folds, they won't overlap in the middle, they'll just sit perfect. Okay, so 2 pieces, 5 by 11. That's 1 for there and 1 for there. And then you'll need some black card. Now, these are to make the frames. Now, they're not any normal frame, they're kind of offset frames. If I bring this in, you can see that this side is wider than this side. So the overall size is 9.5 by 14.5, and you'll need 2 of them, 1 for each side. And then you'll need 2 little strips. These are 1.5 by 10.5, and they'll fit in there like so. So if I bring the trimmer in, I'll show you how to cut this one to size. There we go. So when we're doing a frame, we reduce the size by 0.5 centimetre. So I've reduced the size of the card. The section was 10 centimetres. I've reduced it to 9.5 centimetres. And then the outside edge, that little panel was 2 centimetres. So I only want it to be 1.5 centimetres. So we'll put our card in, and we'll put the right edge on 1.5 centimetres past the cut line. We'll set our tool on 1.5, and we'll cut from 1.5 down to 13. We'll lift that up, we'll turn around, and we'll do again 1.5 centimetres past that cut line. Start it off at 1.5. Now this time, coming down here, it measures 9.5. But this section here, if I bring this one in, look, it's wider. So it needs to be 2.5 in. So it's 9.5, so that's, yeah, that much. 7 we're going to go down to. So 1.5 to 7, and that leaves us 2.5 space, which is perfect. So we're going to rotate round. We're going to put the right edge on 2.5 past the cut line, and we're going to start at 1.5 down to 13. So that gives us our wider frame, our wider section on this side. And then we're back to 1.5, and we're going to start that one off at 2.5 because that was the wider section, and we're going to stop that down at 8. This piece will fall out, and that gives us our 2 frames for the background. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We will actually stick them on first. These were an afterthought, I'll be totally honest with you. These were an afterthought for my card. So I stuck them on after, but we'll do them on before, and it just makes it easier. So if we can just flatten that down so you can see you've got the wider part and the thinner part. We're going to place that over and you'll see it gives you a perfect equal border. So I'm just going to use some tacky glue to stick this down. I should have a little bit of give. That's it. Make sure it's stuck nice and tight across here because we do have to rescore that. Give it a nice press down. Okay, and the same for the other side. You know that glue that was running out on the first demo that I did? I'm still on it. There's a dribble left. Okay. Get that central. Perfect. This is where your precision will show. Right, okay, that's in place. Bring your board in and your score tool and just go over on the 5 centimetre line and score yourself over the black card. Rotate it around and do the same on the other end. And then that should make our, bend that down. There we go. Happy with that? Perfect. Okay, so we'll pop that to one side to dry off. And we will move on to our inking our backgrounds up. So I've chosen 3 colours. I've got Wild Honey. I'll put them on my board so you can see. Wild Honey, Mowed Lawn and Abandoned Coral. And then I have got some Black Soot as well to go around the outside. So we'll do these 2 bits together. And we're just going to randomly ink. Doesn't have to be symmetrical, just random. And I'm not spending much time on it because we're going to be stamping on it. It's going to be fine. So all 3. Don't worry if you get any spongy marks or anything like that, they can just blend out. You can go over with the other colours. There we go. So I've got my 2 small bits and then I'm going to proceed on and do the larger bit. Now obviously you're going to be doing yours a lot slower than this. I'm mindful because I'm trying to make this video a bit shorter than the other one because it was so hard to upload. It took ages. I don't know if upload's the right word. Is it download or upload, Beck? Upload. Okay, so just making sure that you cover all of the area. I'll have a little bit of green. Okay, right then, I've got my 3 pieces, so I'm going to come in and I'm just going to spritz down with some water. You probably won't even see what I'm doing there. And then we will mop that off. Yeah. That just gives me a nice spotty effect. Perfect base now to start and stamp onto. So we'll start off with our smaller ones. I'm just going to give them a quick blast. And I'm going to use the same stamps as I used last time because I am very limited with what I've got here. But they do sit really pretty. Now, for these little outside sections, I've just basically done 2 stamps. So I'll take one, I'll come up, stamp one down, and then I'll just do a second generation a bit lower. That's one. And the same with this one. First and second. So that's about it for those two. But for the central piece, I thought I'd have a bit of a play with some stamps and some stencils. Now the stencils I chose to use were these. So they're like little sets. There's this one which is butterflies, you get 3 stencils in. There's this one with roses. You've got that lovely circle one there, 2 layers for the rose. You've got that nice argyle one, which I thought would be quite nice for men's ones. But the one I've chosen, it's got lines, I don't know if you can see, lines, kind of stripy circles and then smaller circles. So using those, I'm going to start and add some interest, and I'll show you what I did, because this was my inspiration behind this whole card. I just sat there and messed, and I was just playing with a bit of card, and I inked it up, and I did some stencils in the background, stamped on it, and I really liked it, and I thought, oh, I think I'll make a card using that kind of background. So that's where we're at. So using these then, I'm going to use a little bit of this speckledy stamp, and I'm going to use some black soot over it. But again, we don't want lots, we just want some smaller pieces. If you're stamping like I am, be careful, you might, if you press like that, you'll just get 3 finger marks on it, which is all right if that's what you like. So we've got some of those on. Don't know if you can see. And then I'll just use some of the stencils. So I'll use maybe some, a few circles. And again, just totally random with these, but it's nice to build the layers in. And then with this stripy one, I think we'll use some of the abandoned coral. I'll just pop that in there. And I might actually cross that. Every one you do will be different, which is the fun of it really, isn't it? There we go. And I think maybe I'll just put a little bit of this one just so that you can see. It's quite effective. Can you see just the really nice little stripy circles? I'll put one down there as well. Okay, so on to our stamping. We will start off not with that flower, with the grasses, and I'm just going to randomly pop in some grasses down there. I might actually do some up the other side as well, just a few. And this is as much or as little as you want on this. Just cross them over. It just bulks it out a bit. There we go. And then we can come in with our silhouette flower. Now again, when I don't know about you, but whenever I make a card, I kind of make it back to front. I'll put something in and then I'll decide to add something in at the last minute. So I know that I added this piece on at the last minute. So it was right over to the side of the card so I could still fit my nature. So I'm actually going to print my nature down there before I put the others on to try and make it easier for myself. So we'll pop that down in the corner. And then will go about there. 1, 2, that's nice. And then we've got a little butterfly. Which we can just pop in the centre up there. Now on this set as well, there's some little flowers, little stamps, and they say sunshine and flower, and I think they're really lovely. So I'm going to pop one up there, sunshine, and one just up there. And then I've got, in fact, let's use the flower on that one. I'm getting in a mess now because I'm not cleaning my board. We'll have flowers up there and flowers up there. Right, that's all my stamping done. I'll just have a quick wipe and then we'll ink around the edges and we'll stick it together. There we go. So using black soot, I'm just going to ink around. Just be careful if you've just stamped. You don't want to smudge it. That's the big piece. And then the 2 little panels. One. I hope you've all been keeping busy. I bet we've all got sparkly clean houses. Well, mine was for the first week. Then I got bored of that. Right, there's my 3 panels. Let's wipe this because I don't want to get the back of my card dirty. Right then, centre section. In the middle. That glue is definitely going to run out today. There's my centering. I just remembered I didn't stick my 2 little side panels, and I am going to put them on before I put the other bits in, and you'll see why. Because if my ink's still a little bit damp, it will go on the white card, and we don't want that. There's my 2 panels, and then we'll have these pieces here. So pop the glue in, and that side. Just give that a minute to stick, and then when you fold those in, perfect. That gives you your double, I don't know what to call it, double gate aperture thing. Hope you enjoy making this one, and I can't wait to see all of your makes on the Facebook page. Take care, stay safe, and see you soon.